Well, the much-anticipated trial for the murder of former Bafana Bafana and Orlando Pirates goalkeeper Senzo Meyiwa will begin at the High Court in Pretoria today. 5 men face charges of murder, attempted murder, armed robbery and the possession of unlicensed firearms. The late football star was shot dead back in 2014 at the home of his then-girlfriend Kelly Khumalu's mother. That was in Vosloorus. Our reporters Tshegohaco Moagi and Mnisi are both following the story. Tshegohaco, let's begin our coverage with you this morning. It's been such an incredibly long time coming. Do we have a sense this morning of the state's case against these 5 accused?
Well, good morning, Michelle. Indeed, it has been a long time indeed. Senzo Meyiwa being shot and killed on the 26th of October, of 2014. We are now sitting in 2022, which means we are about heading 8 years till 8 years to his passing. And at the state, we know that the state has said that they do have a strong case against these 5 men that have been accused of the murder of Senzo Meyiwa. They're also facing other charges, Michelle, including that of possessing unlicensed firearms. So those are just some of the charges that they are facing right here at the Pretoria High Court. The case is expected to start at 10 o'clock, but the state saying that they are certain that their case is strong enough. They have said, the prosecution and the defense have said that they are ready for this trial to go ahead this morning.
Mnisi, the family, in as much as South Africans have been waiting for closure around this story, the family of Senzo Meyiwa, one certainly feels for them 8 years later, almost 8 years, almost a decade since the murder of their son, their brother. Hopefully, and that's what the family will be hoping for today, that this is the beginning of closure.
And one can't help, Michelle, but think about the father of the late Senzo Meyiwa, who's also passed, by the way, in 2019. He's been long calling for this moment, and finally it happens that someone at least get to stand trial for this particular matter, and he's not around to witness that. But we've been seeing over the past years, since his father's passing, the brothers and the rest of the family members really spearheading the call for justice in this matter. You will remember the family even going as far as approaching AfriForum to take up the matter, seeing that there wasn't any movement, particularly from the police's side. So that perhaps pushed the arrests, and also gave an indication that perhaps there is a level of movement when it comes to this particular case. Of course, it's not only the Meyiwa family, but the public itself, because this speaks directly to the issue of criminal justice in South Africa. An ordinary South African asks themselves, if a case of a high-profile soccer player cannot be solved, what about an ordinary person who does not have a social standing in society? What about them, and when would their crimes be resolved? We know in South Africa, with the issue around crime and murders being at its all-time high, the issues really become quite concerning when such issues remain unresolved. But also the issue, Michelle, around political accountability. We've seen political heads coming and making big promises around this matter. Even in that documentary that you asked me about earlier on, we saw how there were promises around how it was a matter of minutes. In fact, Fikile Mbalula saying it's a matter of minutes, it's a matter of days and months when the perpetrators would be arrested. It took years, in fact, for that moment to finally come. But of course, if this case goes, otherwise, then that also still have to account.
Certainly. Mnisi, as you say, continue to watch this case. The big question this morning, and I'm not sure whether we've got a sense of the state's witness list at this stage, but the big question will be whether those people who were in the house at the time of Senzo Meyiwa's murder will also be taken to the stand.
Absolutely, Michelle, but we wait with bated breath to find out whether or not the 7 people who were inside that house are among the state witnesses, having, of course, claimed before that they witnessed this particular crime. You'll remember there's also been a story around how this was a robbery gone wrong. That, in fact, this particular trial will determine whether those claims are legitimate or not, and whether the men who are said to have gone into the house are in fact amongst the accused men, because it's claimed that others were outside of that particular house, and the two were inside the house, and one is, alleged to have been amongst, or rather the driver in this particular matter. So it will be interesting to hear to what extent then these claims are legitimized in this court of law. You'll remember courts only work on the basis of facts and evidence that is brought forward. So we look forward then, Michelle, to hear whether or not the likes of Kelly Khumalo, Zandi Khumalo, Longwe Twala and others will be in fact taking the stand in this particular matter.
Certainly. To both of our reporters, Linda Mnisi and Tshegohaco Moagi, thanks very much indeed for that build-up as we wait for the, pardon me, much anticipated trial in the murder of Senzo Meyiwa to get underway.